Hello and welcome to our third quarter of Discover Love Academy. I am Jacqueline with Discover Love Matches, professional matchmaker, and I have been bringing together the most exquisite lineup of experts and coaches, all in support of love. Finding love, enjoying love, and keeping love, and really knowing what it is either that you're blocking, what you need to manifest, and how to shift things. So we are really excited because each quarter different experts are sharing. And so being on our third quarter, we're able to really compound a lot of this growth that each of the experts has brought. And now we're going to dive into hearing what Leah has to share. So Leah, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about why you're part of Discover Love Academy. And we're going to just dive into the topic because once you and I get talking, sparks get going. So we're going to cover a ton. So tell us about what you do and why you're part of everything.
Great. Well, first, thank you so much, Jacqueline, for giving this space to people. I think that, one of the things that appealed to me as a life coach and an oracle in regards to participating in this Discover Love Academy was so many of the clients, I work primarily with women entrepreneurs, and there's always a relationship aspect of their business and their life and their life-work balance that comes into play. And I've been fortunate over the years to actually participate somewhat accidentally in helping people find mates and marriages and have babies and all of that because they become so aligned with who they are and what they want to do. So when I had the opportunity and you opened the opportunity to work with you in this fashion, it really felt like a great fit. So I was excited to be a part of the last few, and I'm excited to be a part today in sharing a little bit more about partnership, because I think that's hopefully the goal for most people that are showing up here is that, ultimately they're wanting to find a partner that is, destined to be with them and hopefully long-term and have a long and lasting relationship. So I'm really excited today for the topic, have some great downloads from the Oracle about what can be done, what kind of tips and tools we can use, and what things to consider when we're talking about being in a lasting relationship and having a partnership and sharing a vision of where we want our lives and our businesses to go and grow. Yeah. So
that's what it's really about. You're so spot on. And being that you and I are both so spiritually gifted, it has opened up the way for us to give the message that everyone's really craving for and take it to the next level. Because the bottom line is, yes, the people that are listening are either hoping to find love and just getting started, or they're in the middle, or they're kind of on the exit and they're not sure where to go. And it just is so valuable to step back and own where you're at and hear it from a different perspective. It's one of my most excited things when you and I speak, because you are talking on a spiritual level that isn't just from textbook and here's the top 10 things. It's really about, okay, what is it that this group right now that's listening needs to hear? And that's the message you're going to totally download and share with all of us. So we're so grateful and really honored to witness what's going to happen. It's like this unveiling process, and I just love it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And let's dive in and talk about this. What does it mean for you to hear from your oracle to give you messages? So let's get everybody caught up in case they haven't heard the last two quarters.
Absolutely. So it's interesting because as you were just talking about that, my oracle's getting all excited. I felt like the flush of energy coming in, like she's so excited to be acknowledged. So thank you for that. And for me, what I recognize is that the messages and the guidance that she provides to my clients is not only timely, like it's typically like, this is stuff we need to talk about right now. So also back stuff, like I will see where it's going. She can actually show me almost like a roadmap unfolding or rolling out in front of me. And if I spy something with my own personal little eye down the line and I try to reveal it to my client, she will actually stop me from speaking. I've lost my voice. I've got suddenly a frog in my throat, or the computer will glitch. I mean, things have happened. So I've learned over the years to acknowledge and follow the message that I'm given to deliver and stay with it. And when I recognize, hindsight being 2020, is that there was a reason that the other piece of the information was not being provided at that moment. So it is about being kind of conscious, but it's also, for me, it's important. I like to say, I am psychic. I'm not telepathic. I don't read your mind. I deliver the message that's provided to me for you. And so I have to remember that too. Like there's a part of this that's a grace of knowing that it is a gift. It's one that I'm very honored to have, and that in doing the work that I do, I utilize it. Once we get the message, the next step is, now what are you going to do with that information? So as a coach,
Right.
I can jump in and do the coaching piece where I'm working in, like, okay, great, now that you know that, what are you going to do about it? And we really talk about like how you take action from that. And that's the best synergy. Those are the best sessions, when people are okay to like accept the message, and then we work on what's next. So for me, what I get is really a divine message. A download could be a visual, it could be just a word, a question. Oftentimes it's a question, and then a next step. Yeah.
That's what it's about. Like, and I love the gratitude you give. As many of you guys that are listening know, I have my 4 fat cherubs on my right side, and boy, do they have egos. They want attention, they want validation, they want you to say, hey, it was them. So it's wonderful to work with somebody that knows how to give that attention in the most loving way, just like we all want a little validation when we're on to it. And hearing it, knowing that that's the spiritual world, but then there's still the human world. And so while you get the message, you now need to translate it. So how do we put that into action? It's one thing to have it out there. And I think so often people get these like woo floaty ideas, and that's where the woo-woo part comes, in my opinion. And then you get lost in it instead of actually knowing, okay, so this is a human existence. We are flesh. We're here living a real world. And so we need to know what to do with that, and what do you take forward in it. And that's what makes the shift so enlightening and so empowering. So I'm excited. I just know that what you've shared has really been on that deeper level. And I know you've even had clients find their love, even when you're trying to help them on business, because once you open those canals. And so before we fully jump into the topic, let me know just a little bit for our listeners to understand, what does it mean when you just kind of open up one avenue, the next avenue starts being more available on a spiritual level?
Yes. Well, I think the thing that I've found for myself in my practice is that when we agree to step into that space as a client and a coach and oracle, then we are tapping into a well that is broad and deep. And so it's an opening of a doorway that taps into a much deeper level of guidance and intuition and opportunity. And so to me, it's always exciting, and it's usually fun, because I like to say, I help my clients attract money, opportunities, and clients like magic. And the magic piece on their side is, well, how did that happen? We weren't, like you said, we weren't even talking about that. I'm like, yes, but you allowed yourself to open up to the possibility. And the possibility is always wanting to grow and create. So if you've given it enough room, those things that need to come forward will slowly rise to the top. And so to me, what I see when I work with those clients is that if they give themselves permission to stay present and stay open, then they will get the guidance and the support that they need at the time, even if they're not necessarily focused on it at the moment, because it's just being open to it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it is being open, because when we want to grow in one area, it means that we're ready to grow in more areas. We can't just go, that whole mentality of, oh, okay, I got fit because I go exercise. But suddenly you're growing on how you're eating, you're sleeping better, you have a better outlook. It's like, it's not just that you exercise more, it has a ripple effect. And that's what's really neat, is because as your topic is about clarifying that vision and really deciding how to create a lasting relationship. And this is a big one, because as much as people are looking for love, it's scary to actually go into a dating situation and put your whole heart in there and believe this time it'll work, even though the last 20 times totally didn't work. And it's like, when do you get to that level of trusting your vulnerability and what your outcome wants? So I really want you to dive in and talk a little bit about what is the ability to create the vision for the lasting relationship you want. What does that mean? Because that's, so many people have a hard time comprehending. How do you visualize it if you don't really know it's possible, or how does that work?
Right. I think that's great. And that's a great segue to the first, the overall concept is, if we know where we're going, right? If we have an idea of where we're going, then we know who we want to take with us. It's like, that's it.
so important. That's
know who
totally
we want
it.
to take with us. And you know, I just told a client the other day, it's like she was saying, I had to say no to this opportunity. And it felt kind of crazy, but the work that we've been doing together, it's like, but saying no to that opportunity means you know where you're going, and it wasn't a fit. And even though it's a shiny object syndrome kind of thing of like, well, that will fix my problem, like, but would it really? And when you knew what exactly you really wanted, then you could say, not really. Like, it's a short-term fix for a long-term goal, right? And so that's similar. Like, yes, you're dating, and it's great to experience things and to figure out like some of those yeses and nos. But ultimately, if you really know where you're going with what your focus is for your life and for a relationship and a partner, then it makes it really easy when you're dating to know when a no is a no and let it go. Like you said, not feel like, oh, what if I make a mistake? What if maybe, you know, of course, you know, there's that idea like nobody's perfect and all of that. It's like, but if you know what your real vision is and where you're going, then you want to make sure that the person who's beside you is aligned with that too. And so, you know,
so true.
Yeah, right. So
yeah, it's so true. We forget to actually have somebody aligned with it. We're just like, I refer to like the paper doll theory, where they just, I want this life. Oh, hey, you're cute. Let's go. But then
right.
Go, but do we have anything in common? Do we have a connection? Are you anything I've been asking for other than you're cute?
Yeah, you know? Right. Exactly. Yeah. Or you're in a state where you're feeling needy, and so you just, you know, you just take what's in front of you, right? And so that can happen. So, you know, what I wanted to talk about today was like 3 keys to grow together in life and business. Like, to me, that's it. It's not about, again, like we said before, I just was saying, like, it's not about the idea that this person's going to be perfect and everything is going to be there. But again, you're on the same path. So the first key is no more secrets. And I think this is kind of what we're just alluding to. You have to acknowledge and communicate your real passion, like what you really want. You can't pretend. You can't be a secret agent about really where you're going and what you want for your life. So the first thing is to know what I like to call your ULP. What is your unique life purpose? If you have a sense of what that is, and if you don't know yet, have somebody help you find it. Right. But even during the process of, you know, of looking for that for yourself, it's about communicating, keep sharing that journey as you explore it with your partner, so that it's that you know each other's ULP, and that you stay interested, curious about that revelation. Because as we grow, you know, we start to become more, hopefully, more aligned and more sure of who we are and what we want in the world. And as you communicate that, even if you're just heading off a certain direction, then you know that you're either going to be aligned, or that there's going, you know, it's kind of like danger ahead. Let's look at, you know, if you want to travel for your life and you meet up with somebody who's a complete homebody, you may run into problems, you know, like maybe that person will want to travel sometimes, but maybe in a few years they're going to give up, like that. The honeymoon period might be over, and then it's like the resentment starts building in, because it wasn't really clear how passionate you were about that. And so that's like the no more secrets, right? Just be honest.
Yes.
Be really clear.
You know, and that's actually thing as a matchmaker. A lot of times people are just, they're not starving, but they're hungry. They like want a relationship so badly, and then there's somebody who also wants a relationship so badly that they end up being together, but then they hold all those little good nuggets about themselves in, and it's only because they want the attention and the connection so much, but it's not really like that person is actually fulfilling them and growing. It doesn't mean you have to be with your perfect person. If that's exactly what you want, it has to be that at least the other person should know what the freaking you want. But it is shocking. People withhold that, and then they don't let the person actually fully know either way. Should they stay? Should they go? Even if they're not fully wanting all the things, at least they have an accurate agenda, an itinerary, a possibility. So you are spot on with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the last piece that the Oracle gave me when I was writing, so when I was working on this, the last piece that she said was understand how those ULPs can either be aligned or when they're disconnected, and then look out for the blind spots. So that, you know, it doesn't mean you have to have the same idea, right? So like if you love to travel and the other person likes to travel but they don't love to travel, it doesn't mean that you can't be together. It just means that you then have to be okay with the fact that the other person may travel a lot and you're not going to be there with them all the time. And then they also then have to be okay with going off to travel either on their own or with a buddy or with a friend and still get that passion fulfilled and be okay with the fact that you might not be the person who's doing it with them, right? So it's not like you don't have to have all the same passions, but you have to look out for the places where something that's truly, truly important to you is being fulfilled or not being fulfilled. Yeah.
Exactly. No, you're so spot on with that. And it's such an important part because people get so caught up in dating their duplicate. And I'm always like, why would you want to do that? Just date yourself. So you are going to meet people that aren't necessarily going to want everything, whether it's travel or work or, you know, kids, all the things exactly. But finding what that priority is that is not negotiable, but at the same time, really knowing, like if you meet somebody and you love to travel and they don't love to travel as much, then just kind of know as an understanding from the get-go. That doesn't mean you have to stop wanting to travel to stay at their space. It says, okay, like you said, find some other people, but hold that nugget in you because later you're going to resent it. And that person never told you not to travel. They just said, I don't want to go on every one of them. And that's okay. I hear it all the time from couples saying things like, oh yeah, I go and I travel with my friend because her husband doesn't like to travel and he's happy as pie that he gets a couple weeks to go do what he does and then I get to go off with my friends. And you know, there's ways to make this a win-win and positive for the relationship too. So I think that's really inspiring.
Yeah, it's just about making sure that you're not keeping secrets. You're right. So it's like no more secrets and let those things come out up front and hopefully as you grow together, you know, because things come up and you don't maybe this isn't all first date material, but as you're becoming aware of really what's most important to you, that really honestly, I think that should be pre-first date material. Like you should really know what you're about and where you want to go. Doesn't mean that that's what's to be revealed on first date, but it's there and then you don't keep it a secret like you said. Absolutely.
Absolutely true. And I think that, you know, the older we get, the more aware we have of our wants and needs and desires. And really, it's often because of the last relationship that didn't get anywhere that makes you stop and think, okay, I really want more. And you need to speak up. And even when I tell clients when they're writing an online profile, write it as if you want to invite somebody on the journey with you. Like invite them into your world, say you're open to their world, where so many people just flat a bunch of statements out and they're not really inviting the person. And people will wonder a lot of times, if even on a date, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to go do this. Well, the other person's not going to invite themselves along. You have to say, I'd love if you wanted to do this with me. I mean, it isn't how we invite the energy in or how we block the energy. So you are so right in this message you're sharing.
Great. And yeah, and I think that, you know, being flexible, which is a little bit of what you're talking about, is really number two, which is, you know, I've been very fortunate. I've been with my husband now for 23 years. We've been together. And so I hope at this point we kind of joke, we've been together half our lives. So I'm saying that's a pretty long standing relationship. And we've had all the trials and tribulations of that over the last 20 some years. And what number two, I'm really excited about because it's one that we return to a lot. And number two is stay stretchy. You know,
I like that.
Give each other plenty of space to grow. You know, a lot of people start off in a relationship and they put a person in a box and they say, this is who this person is. And because that's who that person is, that's what I expect it to be like forever. Right. And that, I think it's not only is that not logical, like it becomes its own illness. It's its own disease to think that you're going to try to keep someone from changing at all, you know, because you like everything you saw that first date or the first few dates or what have you. So, you know, instead of pointing out, you know, the failures, like somebody says, or they have a passion or they have an idea or they have a concept or something they want to do in their life. And it takes time as all things do. And sometimes you jog left and sometimes you jog right and sometimes you fall down. And so staying stretchy means instead of pointing out the failures of those missteps, you offer feedback if asked. And, because no one likes to be kicked when they're down, right? I mean, it's kind of funny when we think, again, it kind of goes back to the idea that we've kept them in a box. So either we're putting them on a pedestal or we're keeping them kind of caged into a certain structure of what we expect. And so our expectations, for whatever reason, they're our own, are not being met. And rather than coming to their aid and standing with them, it's no help to then point out, well, you said you were going to do X, or I thought you were going to go this way, and now you're going that way. So that's like the stay stretches, like give them plenty of space to grow and be curious. Be curious about what's causing them to want to go a different direction, right? And then, focus on the divine timing and avoid competition. I think when we have, like I say, like as partners, we need to respect each other's process. And we need to respect each other's space to grow, which means, to me, then it's counter to that if we start to become competitive. So it doesn't matter who gets there first, right? We're not in a race to prove that one person got there first, better, more swiftly, whatever. It's that we want to be growing together. We want everyone to win. And so that, if you want to really clarify your vision and create a lasting partnership with your mate, it's important to really recognize that you need to avoid competition about what you're moving forward towards, and especially if it's different, right? Like we talked before, if we have different passions, it's almost like stay out of that lane. Like that's not your lane to be, superseding what you think they should do, right? It's like, just offer feedback if you have it when they ask for it, and make it feedback, like what you see that's working, or what maybe they're not seeing for themselves, and that's fine too. But it's you can avoid a lot of frustration and really help grow and solidify your partnership by being on their side and being a sounding board of feedback, rather than a naysayer or someone who's saying, oh, well, you said you were going to do this, or here we are 3 years later and you haven't done X yet. Not helpful.
No, it's not. It is so much of a lot. I had a couple I worked with that had been married for 20 plus years a long time ago, and I found that the reason we could never get the marriage back on track was they were so competitive. And every time I would send them off with homework, it would be, I did more than you didn't do it, and look what you didn't do, this was more important, and why didn't you write it down, why are you keeping it in your head, or why is it on your phone and on a piece of paper? Like there was always something that no matter what we came up with and agreed, mutually beneficial at the session, it was always afterwards the energy of just fighting competition, and they didn't even realize what they were doing. They were exhausting each other. They were never really present in how do we make this relationship work now. It was way more about, well, look, once again, he didn't do this or she didn't do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, you're so stuck in this competing fashion instead of present. And really it is, I love your phrase, as our listeners are going, hold on, I need my squishy moment, because you couples really do need to be growing together. And too often they are growing so separate, or they're so competitive that they're actually still not together at all. So very, very spot on.
Yeah, it's the idea that we're trying to tear each other apart, and it's not even, like you said, it's not always conscious. It's more like they're so much more invested in being right. There's a great line that one of my my own mentors many years ago said, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Like, because when you get into that kind of a phase, like you said, it's like, okay, we could sit here all day and say, you're right, but no one's going to be happy. Or we can agree that you're two different people doing two different things and find a space where you can be happy. And that's the next piece of that stay stretchy, is have a home base, like a non-negotiable sacred space outside of what we were just talking about. So like there's a space or a time. So you give room to grow and do different things, and you always have a place where it's about the two of you. It's about being together, and that could be all kinds of different things, but that it becomes that non-negotiable, sacred space between the two of you that you keep and you honor and you hold. And that could look like date nights. That could look like, Netflix and chill nights. It could look, but it needs to be something that when you're in it together. Like it's your
right.
thing. And
I like that. That's really important. And you're really showing a sense of foundation. Like you're saying, okay, if this is date night or it is, Netflix and we're just chilling, then no hot topics are brought up and no bad energy, no pointing fingers. We're just here because we're a couple and we've chosen to be together. So we're going to enjoy this. And even if it's painful, we're going to enjoy it. And then you start to remember what you forgot and what is the goal of that? What would you say your objective is?
I think the objective there really is the opposite. It's a proactive process of creating and strengthening your bond. I think that, if you have people that are passionate and moving and growing their businesses or their careers and they're passionate about what they're doing in their lives, it's having this really sweet, soft space to remember what love is about, like to honor each other and to connect to each other and to have fun sometimes, right? So maybe that's, hiking or skiing or doing something, but in that space, it's just about the two of you doing something that is yours and yours alone. It's not go hang out with the friends or whatever. There's a space where you are staying in that dating space of what's up with you, we have a lot, people get busy, like I said, I've been married for I've been with my husband for 23 years now. And there has to be time where we're not talking about other stuff, where we get to be just me and just him talking about who we are and where we're at. And that kind of feeds back to the idea of no more secrets, because as we grow and we realize that there's things going on and we have revelations about what we really do want or don't want, that's the time when we get to just share it from a place of safety, right? So it creates a bit of a juicy place to say, where do you share your dreams? Where do you share your hopes? Where do you share your fears? What if during that, so that space becomes like a sacred ground for just connecting. And it's not about, of course, not about competition. It's more just about listening and being curious and being connected to wanting to know more about your partner, because we do grow. So if you just are still thinking about them as the person you married or the person you met, and it's been months or years, and you haven't taken time to really recognize them, then you're missing so much of the value of humanity, as we were talking about, because we do grow and we have different ideas, and life around us changes and affects how we feel about ourselves and the world. So it's an opportunity to really be present for each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and I really like your no secret comment, because so often I think, oh, no secrets mean we did something wrong. So as I'm listening to you, my angel yapping with your oracle and just that whole energy of saying the secrets aren't bad. It's just sometimes we forget to be vulnerable to our partner. Sometimes we think, oh, our partner's comfortable with us this way. We don't want to rock the boat. And so it is so important to stop and think, the secrets aren't a negative. The secrets are sometimes just a piece of us that we're withholding to give them information. So I really love that you dove into this more, because that's, especially in early dating, there's so much of that, keeping things from your partner, or did they tell me everything? Are we being truthful? But really what you're saying is take it to a deeper level of your own growth, who you really are. Make sure you didn't lose it in the fact that you were so like, yay, I have somebody. And instead of saying, okay, is this person really the person I'm supposed to be with? And am I giving them all the information so they can make the best decision also?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's true. I think a little bit of that is the fear that if we show them everything, they might not like us. If we show them our vulnerabilities, and that's the other piece. Like if a person sees you as strong, like that's like if they tell you, I love you because you're so strong, and then you spend 10 years of your life with them never crying, and yet of course you cry, and you're crying when they're gone, or you're crying in the closet or the bathroom. It's like, wait a second, that's just maddening. You have to be And that's that secret part of like holding back. Don't hold back. If you're planning on having a lasting partnership, you should be comfortable enough, hopefully. And that's what this idea of having that home-based, non-negotiable, sacred space is about, is like, that's the place where no matter what you're feeling, you can just say it. And you don't have, and the other piece of that then is, of course, like we said, stay stretchy, let the person grow. So you don't have to fix it, but you just give them space. You give them space to be real. And in doing that, then I really believe that creates a foundation of trust and respect. And then the next piece, number 3, which is grab your pom-poms, no matter what, be your partner's number 1 fan. And
right.
And
so true.
Right? So it's like, if you really want to feel like you're supported, the first part, of course, is being vulnerable. But if you've been vulnerable and they still have your back, then you really believe it. And that gives you an intense confidence about how you are growing in the world, and the passion and the business and the life that you want to grow, that they're always on your side. That's invaluable, and the other thing, the first piece of that the Oracle gave me 3 points for that. And A was praise them for their gifts and talents. Loudly, regularly, and with them present. Right?
Oh, that gave me goosebumps. I love it.
With them there, right? So like,
yes. Oh, please write that down, you guys. That is so important. So say it again and get it
loudly.
Through.
Yeah, exactly. Praise them for their gifts and talents loudly, regularly, and with them present. I think with them present is like the key. How often do we hear from someone else like, oh, your husband was so sweet, he said he loves your cooking. He's never told me he loves my cooking, right? So and so that's the is that the right word? Sorry, interesting. Okay, that is, that's how we basically stoke that fire.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right? It's the way that we stoke that fire of passion for each other, by hearing from the person that's giving all these great compliments ourselves what they really feel or really believe about what we are talented in. And what's interesting is you may hear things you didn't know they liked about you. And that's a pretty exciting thing, right? Again, keeping passion alive. It's pretty exciting when you hear something great about yourself from someone who has known you for a while, and they're being genuine, and then they share it with somebody else in front of you. It's exciting and it's endearing. And so it allows you to, again, we're talking about the lasting part of it. It allows you to keep a passion that is continually ignited, and to recognize each other. As we said before, our guides like to be acknowledged. Well, yeah, because people like to be acknowledged too. Humans like to be acknowledged. And what better way to be acknowledged than by the person who you really care about most? So,
well, and how many times do people not even know that that's a quality their partner likes, and their partner just assumes, well, I've told you before I like that about you, and you're like, really? I don't think you've ever actually told me. I think you forget to tell the actual person is so loud. Like, everyone's listening. Think of the people you've been commenting complimentively to others, but you haven't told them directly.
Yeah. And it's really fun when they do it in front of somebody else, or they do it to somebody else in front of you. It's one thing, I think that it's kind of one of those things where we can, in a way, sometimes by default, just like brush away a compliment. Right? But if somebody says it in front of someone else to you, then you have to recognize that there's a piece of you that goes, well, if they're willing to say it out loud to another person while I'm standing there, it must really be true. Right? So what a great gift, really, to give your partner, is that acknowledgement in front of others, and really praise not just like what they do for you, right? Because that's that's great too. But it's like, what makes them unique? What's special about them? What you appreciate about them? Because we can all use more of that. And so to take that like even one step further, because, in light of this, talking about like the clarity of your vision for your life and your business, really, if we have a partner that we're building a life with, how do we make sure, because not every day is going to be roses. So what's the next step when your partner is having a bad day? And it's like, throw a pep rally. Remind them on those off days, right, that you still believe in them. You believe in their vision. You believe in what they're trying to do, and the Oracle said, share specific reasons you know they will succeed. So it's not about you're great, you're awesome, but really being specific, because what that does is two things. It shows them that, A, you're paying attention. And
so true.
Right? And B, you really get how hard they're trying to do this, and you believe that it's going to succeed. Because that kind of confidence building of knowing that the person you care about, the person who knows all about you, really sees the value of what you're trying to achieve in your life and your business, that is the shot in the arm during that really kind of maybe downfall, bad day, loss of a sale, sick baby, whatever it is that's going on in life, that they really see you and they value you and they believe in you. And that could be really easy. It's like you can take them out to their favorite spot, or you can go to a favorite activity, you can buy them lunch, dinner, or just go grab a coffee in the middle of the day and go and just be honest and say, look, you got this. I see it, and I see this is going to happen because you've done X, and everything's going to be okay. You're a great mom, and I'm sorry he said he hates you, but tomorrow it'll be fine. It's like whatever that thing is that they really need to hear. Just taking enough time to really be specific about what it is you see in them is a fantastic tool for creating a lasting relationship and partnership with them. And then lastly, I think this third one, and kind of the final one, is this one is always surprising to me. So my husband and I are both entrepreneurs, and so I'm always surprised by how, and I work with a lot of moms, like I said, I'm always surprised by how few of them talk about what their husbands do, like in person and also like on social media. So this last one is share everything they are working on. Yes, how often do we say something about like the latest episode of XYZ? Did you see what happened on such and such? We'll share crazy stuff all the time. But if we're really committed to supporting each other in our vision and our life and where we're going, then why wouldn't we be the person who shares every new product or service or event your partner's doing, in person and online? And, it doesn't take much to do that. And yet, again, it is a sign that you believe in them. It's a sign that you aren't ashamed of them, right? Because there's that if you're not doing it, why aren't you sharing it? Like if you'll share with me Joe Smith's special coupon, why won't you share my special coupon, right?
Right. So it shows that you're really united too. It shows that you're a couple and you're in a partnership. And again, goes back to your title of this entire topic is about visualizing it. And it really shows you visualize the whole thing, because when your partner's winning, you're winning, and the partnership relationship was winning. And then your clients and their clients, everybody's winning when there's just abundance of love being poured in. But everybody wants to be with somebody that's proud to be with them. So you're giving such a great example of that feeling, because unfortunately, especially later years of dating, there's been often a negative relationship before the healthier relationship. Yes. So there's that moment of wondering, is this person going to be proud to be with me or not? Well, that's a great way to show your pride, is that stamp of approval on other things they're doing.
It's true. And it's basically saying, how amazing you think your partner's current offerings are. It's not just like blast it without any comment. It's like, I'm so excited that they're doing this because I know they're good at X, right? We go back to that talent, or we go back to their gift, and we're sharing it genuinely. Like, do this. This is a great opportunity because I believe in them, and they get to see you believing in them. And not only, like you said, are you building their passion, but you'll be sharing in their success ultimately. So why wouldn't you? And that does then create that global vision you have, hopefully, of having a lasting and healthy and prosperous relationship with someone. I would hope more often than not that that's the intention. Like, you have a life you're building with each other, that is prosperous and that is healthy and happy and full of abundance. So these hopefully would be things that would help to create that foundation for people to think about, and some steps that people can do now. It's not, this doesn't take anything. I'm like checking, okay, maybe one of these things costs a little bit of money, but I mean, it's really not. It's mostly about being present and showing up in ways that maybe take a little bit of effort, but don't take much more than that.
Right. And you're really talking about investing back into your relationship. You're talking about creating the relationship that you've been desiring, wanting, wishing, and craving, and you have to feed it. It doesn't just, be the little plant that sits out in the yard. You wonder why those things die, and you forgot to water it. You forgot to acknowledge it. But it is so important is that they even say, like, your plants grow better when you talk to your plants. So what I feel like you're really expressing is that need to feed and nurture the relationship, hold the person in a coveted, beautiful space, thank them for the compliments, acknowledge when they're doing the right things for you, having that safe space. And this is really about being in a relationship, because as everybody's listening, there's that, each stage of what they're looking for. But when it comes down to it, it's wanting to truly be with their person, whoever that is, whatever that looks like, but knowing that you got to do it differently than you did it the last time in order to make some changes. So you've really brought up like, oh, my last one, I really didn't acknowledge him that much, or I just kind of took it for granted, or whatever it was. We do that, and we need to do it differently with a new one.
Absolutely. And I think that, when you are authentic about yourself, you're open about what you feel and what you're wanting to do with your life, even as you're growing new relationships, that's what keeps them viable. And yeah, it may not work with, I almost feel like it may not work with everyone, and it's not supposed to. I think that's the key. Like, it becomes its own litmus test, right? Like, so this is a place for you to be really clear, and that vision becomes your litmus test for this engagement. And if it works, it's great. And if it doesn't, then at least you have a real sense that you don't, like we said in the beginning, you don't feel like you just have to take whatever's offered, but really clearly that there's a specific person or a specific relationship that's for you. And that's and you deserve it. Everyone deserves that.
Well, and I really was thinking about it, how, I know I've been on dates with people and I've been really clear what I wanted. And the person in the end kind of stops and says, I really understand what you want, and I want to be that person, but I'm really not there yet. And like, what a great thing to be able to say. And it doesn't mean either one is ran short. It just means it's a timing, it's a connection. But isn't it better that they at least know majority of the good things you're looking for? Because, if you're like a road trip queen and they don't even like to ride the car for more than 20 minutes, it's not going to be something you're going to really find a connection. But that doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that connection's not going to really bloom as a together activity. And so you're really bringing in a lot of really important points, because too often we shortchange ourselves, which means we shortchange the partner, which then the whole relationship shortchange. So what I get so much of what you're sharing is, let's do this in the beginning, but then let's keep doing it. And wherever you are right now, as you're listening to this on your love journey, this is when you can bring these elements in. So if you've been with your partner 10 years, or you are just starting dating, or you've just started like a few months in, this is what we have to step up and do, because we can have a more authentic, deeper relationship. So, wowzer, girl.
Yeah. And I think that's true. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. This is like a little toolbox you can carry with you the whole time of your relationship and different relationships. So yeah, I agree. It's really about like that vision that you can create something beautiful that lasts. And here are some ways to do it. Yeah.
That's what's so cool. Like, it's just, oh my gosh. Well, we're almost out of time. So what are your last words of wisdom and encouragement and excitement for them to do before we get to our fourth quarter in a few months?
Yeah, I would say, the thing that I'm always struck with is, remember you're on the same team.
Yes.
Just remember you're on the same team, and people that are on the same team want the best out of their partners in that team, right? They want the best of their teammates. They want them to shine as brightly as they can, and they want them to achieve the best results. So if you're on the same team, then support your teammate. And whatever that needs to look like, be ready, be excited to be a part of that process. And when you do, I think that becomes reciprocal. and it's naturally reciprocal, because if we're on the same team, we're going to both show up and do our best, give our best, and acknowledge each other for our best. And that will ultimately help us win.
Exactly. And the win is a healthy, productive relationship that contributes to society and contributes to your family, or your children, or your community. There's so many positive ripples. That's one of the reasons why I love being a matchmaker, is because there's so many good things that come once somebody steps up into their essence. So you are very spot on, and I am really excited, and I'm feeling all the energy vibes, of course, when you and I talk, but knowing that everyone listening to this right now, there's some great call to action. Stop and think about what it is, visualize and make the shift. Wherever you are right now, you can make a change in a positive direction, and it's so huge. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Leah. You just give us an abundance, and I can't wait for everybody to enjoy what you have to share.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you again for inviting me. I'm always excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. We're privileged to have you a part of it, and we look forward to what comes next.
Awesome.